These are things that we have tried to get the school year started at Highland Park High School. And the reason we really started really early because people were asking for it. After a long spring and a number of ways of trying new things, we think we've gotten it right and we're off to a good start. So one of the things that we found very resourceful was using Flipgrids. And so if you haven't tried them yet, you can go to flipgrid.com. And what we did is we asked sponsors and students. I created 2 different Flipgrids where sponsors did a video introduction about their club and then students did a video introduction about the same club. The reason I like Flipgrids is that you can control whether or not or who sees or who can access them as well. So if you try to go and access them from my school website, which is what is being shown, I hope, right now, you'll see that you can access that. There's a password I put in there, but we do leave it open to students only and staff only to see. But we did that before our virtual fair. And in our virtual fair, we just created a simple spreadsheet and sponsors put in their links, and you'll see a few of those examples here. It worked out well. The biggest part was learning the capacity of sponsors and their technology skills, or their capacity to be able to create a link and actually hyperlink a link within a spreadsheet. So we still have some beginning learners, and that patience is really important. So we hosted 6 days or 5 days of a virtual fair. We then put out a student interest survey, and this survey is with Brian Versario at Deerfield in Highland Park. We put out similar surveys to our students and collecting that information on behalf of activities and athletics, and are sharing that with sponsors. I just shared that this week. And then other ways that we're looking at connecting, if you go to the website there, you'll see clubs at a glance. And so I did a new spreadsheet this year because we have clubs meeting during lunch periods now. We have some before school, we have some after school, and we put in there whether they're virtual or not, and when their meeting time of day, but also then sponsor emails are in there and way to contact. So students have found that really helpful, as well as staff who are working extra hard this year to connect students with sponsors in our building. The last one there that you see is weekly virtual challenges. I included the emails that I've been sending out. We use 5-star. And so each week I send out an email with a Google form that collects their ID number. And so we've been doing virtual challenges each week, and slowly the numbers are going up for participants. So it's good to see that they're catching on. But the first week was first day of school, or week picture. And then this week tomorrow is National Teddy Bear Day. So we are asking students to take a picture of them with their favorite teddy bear or lovey that they would bring to school on pajama day or anything there. So you can see there the emails that we've put together to share with students. And we send that out via Remind, we send that out via email, and we send that out via our Giant Life News. And so not only are we collecting these pictures for fun and pride points is what we call them, but they're also going into a folder with our yearbook sponsors, because yearbook pictures are going to be hard to collect this year. And then we show them on our HPTV video announcements as well. And last week, a girl won a free pizza for guessing the correct number of text messages that we sent out last year. Anybody know how many text messages my school sent out last year? Anybody want to guess? Think big. 2,400,000, yada, yada, yada. It was fun.
Hey, Lisa, it looks like we have a question here from
Awesome.
Lynn in the chat that says, how do you post, I'm assuming, the Flipgrids without the record button on it?
So that's a great question. So Flipgrids allow you to then take all the videos that each individual has made and make it into a mixed tape. And it's part of the site. So you create a mixtape and then you dump them all into that mixtape, and then you can see them all at one time.
So even when the mixtape, they can still click on show choir, or they could click on investment club and see it individually.
Yes.
Ah, perfect. Thank you, because we did that.
It's a lifesaver, Lynn. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Everyone, very fun.
Lynn, Lisa, we have one more question here from Jamie. What system do you use at Highland Park to send out texts? And what are some examples of information that you might push out?
So text messages, we use Remind. Our school actually signed up with Remind so that every teacher has access to a school account via Remind. So I, as an activity director, created class reminds. So we ask students on 8th grade parent night, here's your remind for your class and here's the code. Students and parents sign up alike. We don't care who signs up. If they want the information, we encourage them to sign up. And so the first week of school, some examples were, hey, school starts today at 8 o'clock. Today, 2 texts went out. One was about the virtual challenge for the week. And then the next text that went out is, don't forget to remind your parents about virtual open house. We make sure that we keep this text student oriented and more student life driven than anything else. I do remind my team that I work with, nope, that's a parent email, not a student text. So we really do try to keep up focused on students. I can tell you that we have approximately 440 freshmen, and out of that freshman class, we have 650 people signed up receiving text messages. It's pretty cool. So when I hit send one time, I send out probably almost 2,000 text messages at one time.
That's some power there.
Yes, and you're all waiting on me.
Scary, isn't it?
Sorry about that. So that's what happens
like
when we lose audio suddenly on our batteries. So next we'll go over to, if you guys don't have any questions for, any remaining questions for Lisa, we'll go and we'll actually throw things over to Ted Gergen. He's going to be the next one for us. And he's going to cover what they're doing over at Stevenson High School. Ted.
Lisa, there was one follow-up quick question, and afterwards we can also address some of these questions too. But do you use, like when you send those text messages out, does that come from an app or does it come from your computer? Do you schedule them?
Yeah, I use my computer for most of the text. If there's an on-the-spot kind of thing, like if I'm at a football game or something and I say, hey, don't forget tonight, you know, because I'm standing right there. But generally everything is pre-programmed ahead of time.
Awesome, thank you. So as Peter said, I am the director. My name is Ted Gergen. I'm the director of student activities at Stevenson High School. And oddly enough, we did a lot of the same things that Lisa did. So right in the beginning of the school year, one of the first things that I did was send out a Google form, basically capturing as many Zoom club links as possible. And that's posted right here on our student activities page. This is, if you were to click on the clubs page, it would bring you to a Google sheet that has the sponsor, the day of the week, a little bit about the club, when they meet, and like Lisa said, is it a virtual meeting or is it a blended meeting? We're just starting to bring some groups onto campus with some pre-approval process with myself. So this is an easy way for students to find all of those Zoom club meeting links all in one place. We followed that up here with we called it a co-curricular connection week. So we spread out all of our athletics and our activities over 3 different days, and we scheduled them from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock p.m. And what we tried to do is we categorize our clubs. So we have different classifications like discussion or world cultures or competition. So we tried to space them out so they weren't all lumped together. So you can see here, for example, on Monday at 5 o'clock was jazz, so archery, video game, cultural cuisine, and boys swimming and diving. So students could pick one of those Zoom meetings to log into. And once they enter the student into that meeting, the advisor or the coach, as well as the student leaders, kind of gave like a 5 to 10 minute pitch, a little presentation, and then opened it up for questions and answers afterwards. We recorded all of those, and we've linked those back to that original page that has all the club Zoom links. So that's a process that we're just working through right now. And we had tremendous positive feedback about this structure. This is one of those things that we know moving forward, this is a thing that we'll keep forever and ever. This isn't, we never had kind of like a join in the fall week. We've always had our co-curricular fair in March, and it was really geared towards 8th graders, incoming freshmen. This we had, I logged into every single one of these during the 3 nights, and it ranged anywhere between 5 students, and I saw upwards of 150 students in some of these groups. So it's definitely a keeper. I know, we're going to be working through like, okay, this was a good thing right now, and we're going to keep this no matter what the scenario is of school setting. And some things, obviously we'll never want to. I just actually, one of the things that I think is really essential though, that I just logged off of a student leader meeting is what do we do when the students click those Zoom links? So how do we train our student leaders and our advisors to make that a welcoming experience? Like you can imagine putting yourself in the setting of walking into a classroom and not knowing what to expect, but it's even, I think, more fearful to just click on a Zoom link and you have no idea what's going to be there on the other end when you log in. What kind of environment is it going to be? Is it going to be the same 20 kids that have been in that club or that activity for the last 3 years? So I think it's essential right now to work with our student leaders to talk about, okay, how do we welcome new kids every single week, because kids are looking, they're seeking for these activities. So what does that look like once they click into that button? So that is going to be a lot of our work this semester.
Okay, if we don't have any questions, are you good, Ted? Something else?
Yes. No, I think that's solid. Yep. Thank you.
Great. All right, we're going to turn it over to our friend from Glenbrook North, Mike Tarjan. Take it away.
How's everyone doing tonight? Thank you. I'm Mike Tarjan. I've been the Student Activities Director at Glenbrook North. This is the start of my 16th year here. And this year, like everyone else, we are just trying to stay above water a little bit. And I don't know if you knew, but we announced really early that we were going to be in person. So I wasn't really worried about changing things up. And then all of a sudden, we decided a couple weeks before that we were not going to be in person. So we are still working on our virtual activity fair, and this is just a shell of what we're doing. We've asked every club to put together a video similar to the Flipgrid, but we're just using create a video, and we're going to host it on a Google Drive site. We are going to put this website out to everybody, and if Peter, go ahead and we'll try to click on one of these. This is under construction, but what we're going to have in those boxes is just a logo for each club. There'll be a description underneath each club, like DECA will have a long description, and a link to their video, which will be students who have been in DECA for the last couple of years, and they're going to help invite new students. And then we're also going to have a link to sign up to get more information. And our thought behind that was each club has a sign up page. Then the sponsor and student leaders can see what students are interested, and then send them a personal email inviting them to their next meeting. And that's where they'll share their Zoom link or information if it'll be in person. Right now we are having some clubs come after school and meet in person. So we just tried to put something different in there so that people can make a connection, and hopefully we'll get a lot of kids out of this. We're used to having a lunchtime activity fair in the middle of September where booths are all over the place in our quad, and we have a barbecue and kind of create an atmosphere there. But we're hopeful that this is kind of attractive to kids that are shy and are a little like Mr. Gordon was saying about kids jumping into a Zoom meeting. We're hoping that email and inviting them is something special for them, and that they'll feel comfortable jumping in on the next Zoom meeting. So we're doing this next Friday. We'll see how it goes.
So any questions for Mike before we move on? Cool. All right. Well, I'll just take over from here because next up on our list is Lyons Township. Normally we start our year off with a co-curricular night and activity fair, and that is the first week in school. And it's primarily geared towards freshmen and any new transfer students. And we have a 25-minute presentation that covers our code of conduct, and then we allow students into 2 of our auxiliary gyms where we have the majority of our groups represented. And you can imagine it's already close enough anyway, having upwards of 1,000 people crowding into 2 gyms and trying to hear and see information from upwards of over 100 different activities that they can be involved in. And obviously in the current situation, that's not going to happen. So we had to get creative. So we pushed our activity fair back a week and did something similar to what you already saw from Highland Park and Stevenson and what Mike has planned at Glenbrook North. And that is we did a virtual activity fair. I worked with our webmaster and we came up with a Prezi presentation to try and recreate the experience. We sent out an email to all of our sponsors and coaches, the athletic director and I, and gave them up to 2 minutes. A few of them went over, but for the most part, everybody kept it under, and asked them to just hit certain points. When does your group meet? How long do they typically meet? How frequently do they meet? And what do you expect things to look like in the virtual environment? Most of them adhered to that. Some of them just tried to make things as attractive as possible without really hitting a lot of content. But anyway, they submitted those videos to us, and then we uploaded them to our student activities YouTube channel so people can access them there. But the primary means of access has been through here. And we provided 2 ways that they can do it. One is that they can search directly here at the bottom of our activity fair page. They can search for an activity if they know the season, if they're looking for a particular athletic season, whether it's the 4 seasons that we have this year or intramurals. We divided our clubs up similar to what Ted described at Stevenson. And then we also have some categories just to narrow things down. So for example, if we wanted to go with Model UN, we could just type in model. And then the links that pop up in the search field take them directly to the various clubs' web pages, and then all of the names are addressed or hyperlinked with contact information so that they can contact the sponsors directly to find out more information. But in order to access the videos, all they have to do is just open up the Prezi. And there we've got a picture of our field house, and then they can dive in. And in the Prezi, we divided it up by letters. We found that was far less deep. They didn't have to go to as many clicks as they might have otherwise to get to the particular club, and then just go into the divisions, and then everybody is linked. And you can tell just by looking at it which ones have videos up and which ones don't. The ones that are squares don't have videos currently linked, but this is something that we're going to keep active throughout the year, and we'll continue to upload videos as they get submitted. But the ones that have that same title card throughout are all available to people, so that if we just click on the theater board link, it then takes it directly to the YouTube page, and they get to show their video. But then it's, as I said, that's something that's also shared on our YouTube channel, and we've even set it up as a playlist. So if somebody actually wanted to sit down for a couple of hours and watch all of the various activity fair links that we set up for this year, they'll be able to do so. So that's what we did at LT. And like I said, that's something that we are going to keep resident throughout the year. And I think that based on the reactions that we've gotten, this is probably something we'll continue to do, because as I said, previously, our primary audience for our activity fair has been freshmen and transfer students. And this is affording us an opportunity to reach out to all 4,000 of our students, which is something that we haven't taken advantage of in the past.
Peter, I think I can speak to the 50 participants that we are very jealous of your skills and your webmaster skills. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah, our webmaster, Suzanne Anderson, is she's a rock star. All I had to do was just collect stuff and upload it to YouTube and then create the title cards. She's the one who actually went into the process of creating the Prezi, and she was able to turn it around in a day. So she's awesome. Yeah, we're lucky. But thanks, Brian. I'll pass that on to her. Any other questions or comments? If not,
I have a question.
yeah, go
Sorry,
right ahead.
I couldn't type fast enough.
Sure.
It keeps saying she created the Prezi.
Mhm.
Is the Prezi short for presentation, or is it a actual like thing
Yeah,
that we could
so
create?
Prezi is an online software. It's an online presentation software, and I'll put it up in the chat right here. It's an online presentation software. It's similar to Google Slides or sorry, thanks, Ted, or PowerPoint, but it resides entirely online. And so you're able to create all the same transitions and everything. And you can drop in links. It could be the same kind of presentation that you would normally do. Just the difference is that it resides entirely online, and Suzanne has enough experience with it that just in talking with her about what we envisioned we wanted it to look like, she just took it and ran with it and gave us exactly what you guys saw there, and that was 100% what we described. So she's just really, really sharp.
I think too, Peter and Ted said something too. As we're putting ours together at Glenbrook North, I'm finding the kids are more attracted to, we know this, but they're more attracted to video and just the technology piece instead of lists and stuff. So I'm feeling like this is the direction of our website and changing our website completely to kind of create more opportunities for people to see things and hear things instead of reading online.
Yeah. The one thing I would caution with, and that I've had to go through and do some work on, and that I'm still working on, I would imagine that your districts are similar to mine in that they don't want students being identified in video. And so I've had to go through some of our videos and use YouTube's blur tool, post editing effects, or use their ducking tool to take out volume so that because students are putting things together and they're completely trusting, but we don't want students' emails up there online with a picture of them. We don't want them identifying themselves first name and last name. So I've had to use some of the editing tools in order to take that out to protect their identities. So that's definitely something that if you're going to video, I would definitely keep an eye out for. All right. Well, if that's all we've got, then I am going to go ahead and I am going to move over next to Maine West. Unfortunately, John Aldworth, who's also another IDSA board member, was going to join us, but he couldn't tonight, but he sent a link along to their virtual activities fair. And as you can see, theirs is a YouTube that premieres in 22 hours. So later tomorrow at 7 p.m., their activities fair will go virtual as well. And as you can see here, descriptions of a number of their clubs, sponsor contact information, Google Meet links, and so forth, as well as a slideshow at the bottom. But they will have a video at the top, which they will use to introduce the entire process and highlight all of their activities for the 2020-2021 school year. And just so that everybody who's watching us live or who watches after the fact knows, we will post a link to this slide deck in the chat later, and we'll also make it available to everyone. There won't be any kind of special login. All you'll need is the link, and you'll be able to access this with the links to all of these various websites as we move forward. Lynn. Lynn.
I think I'm up next, Peter.
Yeah, you are. I thought Lynn was going to toss it to you, but go ahead. Debbie Beagle from Vernon Hills.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Yes, I'm going to toss it over to our friend Deb Beagle from Vernon Hills High School. Take it away, Deb.
I'm actually coming to you right now from a cafeteria. Whoops, stop. Yeah, my tech skills are not as good as Peter's right there. I'm actually coming to you live from a cafeteria at, Elkhorn High School. Like many of you, I'm multitasking. I'm at my daughter's softball practice, so I just wanted to chime in and say that we're doing a event this weekend at Vernon Hills High School, and we were trying to figure out best way to social distance our students. And we use Sign Up Genius. We've used it before for other things, but we are doing this tagging event, which in any other normal times, we would never encourage students to have spray paint in their hands. But it seems to be a thing at our school lately because we're under construction, so we can spray things right before they actually start to look like what they're supposed to. So we're allowing it's like a time capsule. They're really spraying their names and it's going to be covered up. And so, yeah, so we did Sign Up Genius just to kind of block off time slots. And that way the kids will come in, their temperatures are taken, and it's almost like a path in to this new gym and then a path out so that they don't pass each other, so to speak. And almost like being in line at the grocery store, you can't go to the next cone until the person in front of you is gone. And I think I was talking to Lynn today from Naperville, like as we're trying to brainstorm new ideas, it'll be interesting to see how this goes, because I imagine like when the weather is not nice and we have to be inside, maybe we set up some type of thing in the high school where it's like you're signing up for almost like a tea time, and then you're walking through the school at increments doing different things. Maybe it's even mini golf or something like that. So we'll see how it goes. That's this weekend.
Great. Thanks, Deb. I believe that Brian Lesnar, affectionately known as the Hammer, is on with us, isn't he?
I am here. Good evening, everyone. So I've been working on this slide since March, and here's why. Because I was worried about the upcoming year for approximately that long. I was worried because I kept on looking at spreadsheets, I kept on looking at calendars and seeing all the things I couldn't do, and I truly had a fixed mindset. Then from there, I was looking for resources on a virtual world and couldn't find those either. But where I am finding an amazing amount of comfort is through the IDSA and sharing the resources here. So it's great to connect with all of you. I didn't link my page because I took it from Highland Park in Stevenson. So I'm hoping that the community of learners that we have out there are doing the exact same thing and taking and picking and choosing from what's presented and kind of make it their own. So the part where I made it my own was it's going to look just like Stevenson's, like a grid system, but at the end, the far right-hand corner has a Google form. And the reason for the Google form as opposed to a link to email the sponsors, because the sponsors then don't have 40, 50, or, as Ted alluded to, maybe even potentially 100 emails, asking for more information, asking for the Zoom link, or we're using Google Classroom. So it gives you a one-stop shop place for your sponsors to be able to collect the information from the students who may be interested after they see the video. Some things that we had to unpack is, well, what do you do if you have an honor society? Instead of having a sign-up sheet, you could maybe put the requirements of the honor society and have it there. You can maybe link it to the audition schedule that's coming up for an ensemble, or link it to maybe a performance that's already on YouTube. So we definitely let our sponsors customize it to their needs. Typically, all they need is really their name and their school email. But I've seen sponsors, speech, for example, they had a list of events and they were able to click and see which event the student was interested in, or newspaper was able to click on, well, what role would you like to fulfill for the newspaper? Another looked at just simply availability. When would you be available for meetings? The last application that I brainstormed and saw is that if you're having your students come back to campus, that you maybe have your building level disclaimer for COVID procedures, the screening, and what door to enter for. All in all, I am no longer worried about the upcoming year, because we have this. And definitely looking forward to connecting next week when we discuss homecoming, and we could share more of our ideas together. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So Brian Lester, I didn't properly introduce him. He's down at Lockport Township High School, or as we refer to the other LT. Finally, our last two we'll throw over to Stacy Kolak at New Trier High School, and she's going to tell us a little bit about their screenshot challenge. Stacy.
All right. Hi, everybody. First of all, I just want to say thanks to all these great ideas tonight. I have a page of notes already, so thanks for the inspiration to everybody tonight. So the screenshot challenge was something that we instituted actually last spring, and I'm sharing it with everybody now because it was actually quite a success. And we started to do the, the challenges. We're encouraging students to share photos that we would post on our social media, and we were not getting a lot of response to that. In fact, very little. And so what we did was we flipped it around and we shared it with our advisors. And you could do this with any group. In fact, we allowed any group or club or team or even departments to share sort of and join in on the fun and share their screenshots. So rather than script it too much, we left it open for interpretation, and they could think of the theme of their choice. And so you can see up at the top there, we had a Theater 3 class do the dinosaur roar, and it was something as simple as, putting their hands up in that gesture. And then we had a lot of great sort of creative submissions for that. And it was just a really nice way to get everybody sort of rallied around it. We did it once a week. We opened up the submissions on Monday. We would share out on Friday on the school social media, and I would have the student council then vote on all the submissions and pick one from each sort of category, whether that was by class grade or by clubs or departmental submissions as well. And so there's a lot of creativity, and it really just was something that people started to look forward to, and the submissions just grew and grew and grew. And then the last thing there, and thanks for moving that down, Peter, that last one there, this is kind of just a tip that I'll share, and I don't know if this is new to some of you, or if this is something they're already doing, but one of our PR staff shared this with me. You just have your kids on your Zoom screen hold up a blank piece of paper. Those were blank pieces of paper, and then you can sort of type in, just on PowerPoint, put in the text box over it, and you can kind of put your own message there. So that's what we did. That's our student council there. And we just put in the little icons in the message, and you can kind of do that with any message that you want to do with those blank, the words, or who's holding it up, or who's putting it in the right order, or where that, that plays out for you on your Zoom screen. So that was just a little tip I thought I would share with everyone. Hope that helps.
Great, thank you. I'm going to toss it over to Sally once again from Hinsdale, who's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on at Hinsdale Central.
Stacey, I love that idea of the blank paper. I never thought of that. Thank you for that. Sure. We've done something really similar to everybody else with the virtual activities fair. In the past, we used to do an activities fair at the 8th grade parent night in the spring. I didn't like it. It was parents walking through and signing their kids up for clubs that they were interested in, and I didn't see any kids. And then we started doing them with just freshman orientation and only bringing freshmen through, and that was good. It worked for a while, and it bothered me because we have 3 other grade levels of kids that need to get involved, or whose interests have changed, or maybe we're so terrified that their freshman year that they didn't really get anything out of that activities fair. So we have moved our activities fair in normal times to the second Monday of the school year in everyone's PE classes. So typically all students walk through our field house, and we have 2 club members at each table and at each athletic table, and they find out information. We take the upperclassmen through the first half of the PE period, and then take the freshmen through the second half of the PE period, so that only freshmen are in there too, so it's not as intimidating. But like Ted said earlier too, I think that can be really intimidating, just like jumping in a Zoom call. And so I like what we've done this year with the virtual fair as well. So what I did was, we have about 100 clubs, and I broke it into 2 weeks for after school, and for 8 days after school from about 3:15 to 5:30, 5:40. Each club had a 10-minute time slot, and it was the sponsor and 2 club members that were there, and their links to their Zoom or Google Hangout were all included in that. And we emailed the day's schedule to everybody, all students and sponsors, to remind them that they were having this meeting. And so this was also up on our website too, so kids could kind of plan what they were going to be doing throughout the 2 weeks. And we didn't put any clubs up against any other clubs, so that everybody could get to whatever one they wanted to. Ultimately, it led to this document, which is much like some of the others that you've seen too, and what day of the week it's meeting, how you join, is it application or is it open? Their permanent Zoom link is there, and how to contact the sponsors, as well as I had people put in their remind codes. And this is on our website as well, so that it's a live document that then sponsors can go in and update as they want as well. We are starting to allow for some in-person meetings, and that's why I've left this as a live document for sponsors, because we've gone through a process with our district to be able to get kids in the building and interacting, as long as they're following room restrictions and wearing a mask and wearing their student IDs and getting their temperature checked as they walk in. And I have that document linked in there too, Peter. So this is our district policy. We've added a couple of things for Hinsdale Central, just trying things out. We had our first in-person club meeting today, which actually went really well. We did our color guard practice. They all have to bring all their own materials, and they had to come in through our front doors. Our security stays until 3:30 and scans in temperatures, and then sends students to the proper place in the building where they're supposed to be. And then they filled out a self-verification form of not experiencing symptoms, hopefully, that they're there. We're hoping that this helps us with contact tracing if we have to shut anything down, kind of like athletics is doing with their pods. And so we've tried to create that. We've made it so that sponsors aren't at all allowed to require people to come in person, nor have we required any sponsor to hold any in-person meetings, but I'm starting to see more and more scheduled. And kids are getting pretty excited to come in, and sponsors are actually getting really excited to have some students in the building too for some meetings. Some of our issues are we have some really big clubs, like our National Honor Society is almost 300 students. So how do you do that? And so rotating those in-person meetings to 50 one week and then a different 50 kids the next week in our auditorium is one thing that we're working on too with our Habitat for Humanity and some of our bigger groups too. So that's how we're getting kids in the building and keeping them safe and keeping our sponsors safe as well. I think that's all I got, Peter. Is that it on there?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks, Sally. Anybody have any questions for Sally?
Oh, I just saw that about.
We do have a question here that is about transportation. Sally, direct towards you. Are you providing transportation back to school or home?
So that has been a big topic, actually. So we are asking club members if they need transportation right now. It's hard to set it up for regular transportation because not all these clubs are meeting, right? So I did have one student who requested transportation today. So we did arrange for one of our campus supervisors to go pick them up, and then they had to find their own transportation home. So we're kind of working on that process still.
Any other questions? All right, so we've got about 15 minutes left. So what we want to do is we want to open the floor. If anybody else wants to share anything that they're doing in order to do virtual fairs, to encourage students to get involved. And also just to open the floor, if you have any questions that may have popped up for any of our contributors tonight, we certainly want to take the opportunity now to answer those, and obviously encourage you to reach out to people after the fact as well. So anyone want to chime in? All right.
I didn't necessarily have a question. I just
Sure.
wanted to make a comment that this was awesome. Like, some of the things I had thought about was the virtual sign up, and you all have given me extra oomph. So thank you. This is Dina Owsley from Thornridge. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, Dina. It's very kind of you. Yeah, credit really, I think, has to go to our president. Brian was the one who really pushed it this year for us to do something to keep everybody connected and to cover a wide variety of topics. So,
Will
Brian,
these links be live or no? Just the visuals?
no, we're gonna. The links will be live in the presentation that you'll be able to reach, and then Ted Gergen is going to link everything up on our website that you'll be able to access. And in fact, if you look in the chat right now, and you'll be able to see it afterwards in the recording, you'll be able to find the presentation at the activities website, idsa-activities.org.
I got you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And don't be afraid to email any of us. I think this is the best thing about IDSA, and the support from everyone and sharing of ideas. More than half the stuff I do came from someone else.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll be sure to go in and I will edit the slide deck after the fact, and I'll put in everybody who contributed tonight. I'll add their email addresses as well, so that you'll be able to have everything concentrated in a single document.
I'm going to jump in real quick, just like a little, if those of you that have been to the convention have gotten sat through the 40 and 40. So one of the topics tonight was also about running club meetings. And I actually observed a teacher who did this, and I thought it was really a good way to engage kids in a club meeting. And that's asking your students to change their virtual background to something like this. And then kids can move, like if they agree or do they disagree. Like, how are you feeling today? I'm feeling pretty good. I'm kind of sleepy. Or you could, the kids that we were just talking about brainstorming ideas for homecoming week, and they were talking about coming up with different like virtual background decorating contests, or so some of those things, incorporating some of the technology that we're using that you get sick of looking at your office every single day. Just kind of mixing it up. I asked the question also, has anybody used their virtual background to advertise for their club meetings? And apparently one of the teachers asked the kids to take it down because it was distracting. But I said, go ahead and keep trying until it becomes a school rule that we can't do something like that. So just some tips that I was just in a meeting that I thought might be helpful to keep kids engaged and just, change things up for everybody.
Anybody else? All right, I know it was in the, it's in the chat, but I want to encourage everybody to go ahead and follow up with our post-discussion survey. It is linked obviously in the slides, but if you look in the chat, you'll see that Sally included in there. Just please take a couple of moments. So I think, what is it, Lynn, 4 or 5 questions maybe, just to get your feedback on tonight's TNT session, and to give us some hints and tips for the future as we move forward. Our next one next week will be Debbie Beagle and Chris. Chris, I know I'm going to mangle it, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. You can jump in.
Cirincione.
Thank you. And I'm going to throw it to our president-elect to wrap things up. Sally.
Hey, like Peter said, thanks all for coming. We're really excited to get this started, and we have some good ideas coming up, and I know homecoming is on a lot of people's minds right now. So we're gonna get some good tips from Debbie and Chris next week. And we hope that you'll join us. Again, you can go to our website and register for those events. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, and we'll have information posted there as well. But please fill out that evaluation and give us some ideas of what you want to hear from next, or if you have some great ideas, we'd love for you to help contribute to.
I told Sally I was going to jump in on her slide as well too. I just and sometimes when I talk about this group, I almost get a little weepy and emotional because this group is so amazing, and I'm so excited to be a part of and help represent the IDSA. And we count on all of you. So we're so excited that 51 people showed up tonight. Like, that's amazing, and we're super excited. And I hope it grows, and we hope you share it with your sponsors and your principals. I just want to tell you something. Don't worry if you looked at some of us and thought, oh my gosh, they've already got a virtual fair going. Oh my gosh, they've already got meetings. They've already got people meeting live in person. We haven't even gotten that far. It's okay. We're here to support each other. We're here to help each other. So it's all right that if your school, I haven't done some of these things yet. All of us are at different stages and are working through how we're going to handle transportation and other issues. So we're here to help you. We're the IDSA Exec Board. You can find everything you need at idsa-activities.org and signing up for our other different topics. We're all in this together. So we're just really super excited you all came to our very first TNT. Thank you, everybody. Fill out that survey and have a wonderful night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Exec Board, you want to stay on for a second?
Sure.
And if you stay on during the exec board meeting, that makes you part of the exec board, right, Brian?
Right. You guess what you're going to be next year, President-elect.
Serious.
And we assign you tasks to do. So there you go. Hang out
No,
and
I'm just trying to get the evaluation.
That's okay. You can stay on. I'm gonna